Hey, hey, Chad and Sarah Gale here with Hope Relentless Marriage, and we hope you are doing fantastic today. And I want to congratulate you. Congratulate you on impacting the world for good. When you are resourcing your marriage, you are making a difference in the world because marriages impact families, families impact communities, and communities impact the world. So well done.
That's right, world changers. It's great to be with you here today, whenever you're listening to this. So today we want to talk about dreams, the importance of dreams. And this is actually going to be a multi-part series because we really see the impact of marital dreams, things we're pursuing together, and also individual dreams. In our marriage, we're a part of a family, but we might still have dreams that we're going to pursue as individuals. And so we'll talk about individual dreams next time. Today, the focus is on the importance of dreaming together. And sometimes couples can wonder, well, why are shared dreams important? And dreams are important for numerous reasons. One, dreams help us live with intentionality. Oftentimes in life, as we get older, we get married, we get a house, we get kids, we get a career, it's easy for our life to become reactionary. We're going with the flow and we're responding to what's happening. Well, as people, we operate at a higher capacity and a higher level of satisfaction when we are doing things with intentionality. And dreams offers that opportunity to pursue things. We also know as couples, there is power in overcoming obstacles and fulfilling things together. It builds the bond. It builds our friendship. It builds connection and intimacy, all things that are great for marriage. So I want to pivot to two quotes that we really enjoy. The first one by Eleanor Roosevelt says, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." The second one says, "A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. A plan backed by action makes your dreams come true."
All right. Well, I have to quote a famous movie. What's your dream? What's your dream? Do you know what movie I'm quoting, Chad?
Yeah, I think it came out before I was alive, but it's Pretty Woman.
Yes, the more I am older, the more I realize how inappropriate that movie is, but it is just in my brain. What's your dream? Whenever I talk about dreams, that Hollywood sign. So anyways, coming back to focus. I love that last quote that you shared, and I'll read it again since I might have distracted everybody. The quote was, "A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. A plan backed up by action makes your dreams come true." And the reason I like this quote is because it is very relevant in a lot of the sessions that we have. And usually I see it with older couples who, their kids are out of the house and now they're planning afresh and they're thinking about opportunities that they might have missed. And when the hope would be they would be excited about what's to come, but they're thinking about opportunities that they might have missed with their children because now their children are grown and out of the house and they didn't get to go on that vacation with their children, or they didn't get to do that scrapbook that they wanted to do that showed the growth and progression of the kids throughout the years. And so one of these things that the quote reminds me of that I just read is that if we can really do what the quote is saying, then we don't have to live with regret, because a lot of times we have all these goals and dreams, but then we don't put a plan in place and we don't put action to it. And so then they're just wishful thinking. And what we're left with oftentimes is resentment. So the quote is powerful for many reasons. And I think the biggest one is to put into action those things so we're not just all talk and we regret it down the line.
Yeah. I mean, I think the quote highlights kind of the first step to dreams. We have to have them, right? If we don't identify what we want or what we're going for, then the odds of us getting there is very, very unlikely. At best, we become insanely lucky, right? It's just we're relying on chance and coincidence Whereas when we dream together, that's the first step. And we'll talk about plans here in a moment. Just for the sake of this conversation, I want to add a dream that we had that we ended up accomplishing, and that is home ownership. So we got married, met at UCLA, graduated college, got married, and we were living in Los Angeles. And I remember we almost bought a house together while we were engaged, and we decided not to. So there was that dream. And then over time in LA, we completely stopped talking about buying a house.
Yeah.
And so the reality is we weren't doing anything to move forward with that dream. We weren't saving money. We weren't paying attention to interest rates. We weren't working with a realtor. We weren't looking at the market. The dream had completely died. And so the reality is we weren't making any meaningful progress towards home ownership. Fast forward a decade, and we ended up moving out to Arizona. And the idea of property value was different, but it wasn't until a mentor of ours asked, "Are you guys renting or do you own the house you live in?" And we said, "Oh no, we're renting." For us, that had become like the standard. We were renters at that point. And that thought helped us pivot and then start to put together a plan of what did we need to do for home ownership. But because that dream existed, and then you and I put together a plan, and then we executed that plan, we went from not even talking about a home to buying a home in just a couple of years. And to me, that's the power of dreams. And so that's why these become so important, is to dream together allows us to move key areas of our life forward.
Yeah, the power of dreams and a plan and then the action. It all goes together. And I remember that time, Chad, that you're talking about in just going back to LA when the kids were really young. And I remember going to different friends' homes that had houses. And I mean, in LA, a lot of times it's interesting how they come upon those houses because everyone's in the same boat. You know, the pricing for the cost of living is insane. And you're just starting out your life. So it's difficult to come across a house. But we were blessed enough to have some friends who did have homes. And I remember thinking, man, I would love to have a home, a little backyard. You get the little kiddie pool for the kids. Like, I remember thinking that. And to be honest, I remember complaining every now and then and not feeling grateful for the apartment that we lived in. And so at the same time, I was not putting any effort into what it would take to have a home, to have a house, right? And even if it was renting a house, the rent for a house would have been a couple $1,000s more than we were paying also. So I wasn't putting in any effort to go in that direction, but yet I was discontent because it's what I wanted, but there were no legs on the ground when it comes to making that happen. And so I think this is common. A lot of times we're discontent in our life. And if we just step back and recognize, okay, what do I want? What would be ideal? And you just start to lift your eyes a bit to what are the possibilities? Then you can start to shift and start to work together, going towards a direction that will help you guys to achieve your dreams. And I remember when we started to do that, Chad, and we're in Arizona, we were all in. Yeah. Our focus was so intense on saving money. And we honestly weren't even thinking about the house all the time. We were thinking about saving the money, building the income to build or to have a house. And so I remember one day we just kind of looked up and we realized, wow, we can get a nicer house than we thought, because we were so focused on what it took to get it, that when it was finally time to see it come to pass, we had more than we thought we would. So it was pretty exciting, and it was not without sacrifice, because I remember those long days of working in sales, and it was challenging, but it was worth it.
Yeah. I think it just highlights, we just share that story to highlight the power of a dream. It creates vision, it supports action, and then we can put a plan together when we know where we're going. So let's back up a moment and let's ask a couple questions that can help people identify the beginning, the plan. So a question is, do you dream with your spouse. We can kind of start there. And then if you dream with your spouse, how do you feel during those moments? Is it exciting? Is it frustrating? What is surrounding those moments? If you don't dream with your spouse, why? What is preventing? Did you ever, or is it just, I don't know, we don't have a reason? Well, let's start dreaming together. In today's show notes, we'll include kind of some different questions that can support you having a conversation with your spouse around dreams and putting together a plan. You know, dreams can take on a lot of shapes. I think of, you know, when you think of the American dream, you might make generalizations of a house and retirement. Those are like the big, big dreams. Maybe paying your kids to go through college or university or something. And sometimes we have dreams that could take 5, 10, 30, 40 years to work towards, but we can also have dreams that maybe are 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And so I think in the beginning, it's more about identifying some dreams. And I encourage people to create some short-term dreams with their spouse so they can build momentum and kind of pick up some wins around dreaming. What would you share in terms of maybe helping couples who don't currently dream together to start?
Yeah, I would say to think of the season of life you're in also, because sometimes we feel like we need to do it all right now and we don't have the energy to do it all. So therefore we do nothing.
Wow.
So I would think of the season of life you're in. And like Chad said, when you have your short term and your long term, then come back to a place where you're focusing on, okay, what are the micro steps, if you will, to achieve these short-term goals, but then also the long-term, because if you have a long-term goal of being a nurse, for example, there's some things in the interim before you get to that step. And so we want to see, is there anything that you can be doing in the now to go towards that long-term? And so I really think it's helpful if you can brainstorm with your teammate, with your spouse, and you can really look at a goal, look at a dream. Actually, let's start at the dream. We might be interchanging those. You look at a dream and then you kind of scale back a little bit and then look at the goal and then look at the micro steps and then start putting in some actions.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I want to share is odds are you and your spouse think and process differently. If you're like Sarah Gale and I, then if there could be a bigger difference, you will figure out what that is. So sometimes our personalities are very different. So the first thing is create space for both people to be included and create a space where both people can be celebrated. I think one of the things that can get dreams started is just writing things down, or if you have a whiteboard in your house, maybe you've got an office in your house, something, just like no limitations. We're just going to throw ideas up on the board. You know, different topics, I think for some people, traveling could be a dream, right? Experiencing different parts of the country or different parts of the world. It could be maybe pursuing some type of educational degree or accomplishment, starting a business, buying a home, visiting loved ones, right? There's so many. So getting as many of those out without the pressure to have the plan to execute, right? It's not about the plan in stage one. It's about getting the dreams out and sharing them.
Yeah, I like that. I love that. And that's where the excitement comes in. It's like, what if, and it becomes this time of like when you first met each other, all the dreams that we had when we first met each other, having kids, perhaps going to this place, going to that place. And so you get to experience that again. And that revives the marriage and creates a sense of adventure. And then, like we've been saying, it also creates a sense of focus, because if we're not clear on what we want to do and the direction we're going, then we will truly just be reactive. And one of the most powerful moments in our sessions when we're talking about dreams is when we really sit down with the couple and we ask them these same questions that we've gone over here on this podcast. And then we see their dreams. And so again, we see like what they threw out on the board. And then as we narrow in more to the present day, we oftentimes see that nothing they're doing in their present is leading to any of the dreams that they have.
Wow.
And so there's a disconnect. And so that's
Yeah.
when we get to walk them through, okay, is this something you really want? So how can we start to adjust your day to day? Or if we can't adjust your day to day right now because your calendar is booked, how do we make a plan for the next year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year to start rearing in a direction where we are going towards that dream? Because the reality is, if you are a family that is heavily inundated in competitive sports, I mean, we're with you. We're in soccer, so we understand that whole thing. We should do a podcast on that. Sport parents, gosh. So if you're one of those families in competitive sports, but yet your dreams as a family are to travel the world and enjoy different parts of the world, but all of your finance and time is going to competitive sports, for example, then you might have a hard time traveling the entire world. And so we get to sit down with couples and see if there is any incongruence there, and then start to make plans where it's like, okay, well, what do we need to do so that we can actually do the things we want to do?
Yeah, so I think, we have this idea. Step one is just dream and write it down without limitations. Maybe step two is start to clarify which of those dreams are we actively pursuing. Some of those dreams could be short term, some of those could be long term. But as we define what we're going after, then we can start to create a plan and or recognize the obstacles to accomplishing our plan. So in your example, maybe the kids' club sports is an obstacle. So now we might decide, well, do we finish out this year and maybe make a different choice? Or do we adjust the season that we anticipate actually fulfilling this dream?
That's good.
Right? It creates clarity. I think about us with purchasing the house. Our mentor, Paul, asked us basically a couple questions that gave clarity. What's your income? Your income is going to be directly attached to the type of home, the price range of homes you should be looking for. So we looked to intentionally increase our income. Talked about what debt do you have? So we had debt. So we aggressively started paying off our debt. And then what down payment? So after we paid off debt, all of our discretionary income went towards savings for that down payment. And so the speed in which we accomplished things because of the clarity was remarkable. That's why we looked up and we're like, oh, called Paul. And he's like, yeah, you guys are ready. And it was like, oh my gosh, we're ready. And it kind of shocked us and was exciting. And then nervous. I was nervous, but this is the power of dreams. And so until we decide where we're trying to go, we're not able to make other decisions with clarity. Sometimes those decisions are saying yes to things. Sometimes those decisions are saying no to things. And without a plan, we don't know which one is which.
Okay. Yeah, this is good. And as we wrap up, the last thing I'll say on this is dream about what you want to do as a couple that can make an impact, make a difference in the world. So this is outside of just yourselves. This is something where you even look at some of the unique attributes and qualities of you as a couple that you can offer society, you could offer your community, and you can really make a tangible difference, because I think those are the most rewarding dreams when you are able to see, in a sense, the ripple effect. And I know for Chad and I, being able to do this and work with marriages, that's a dream that we have had, and doing it in real time is incredible to see the impact and the ripple effect. And it's like, it's unreal that we get to do that we get to speak life into your marriages, and we get to sit one-on-one with you guys as couples. And so think about it. There's something for you in your spouse as well to do together that is going to impact and change this world.
And I think within that, I just want to add that small things add up. And so sometimes couples can have a dream to run a business together, but maybe that's a different season. Maybe that's down the road. Volunteering or serving once a month or in a local organization that you're both believe in and are excited to be a part of can be deeply meaningful. And the cost, if you will, in kind of air quotes, is a couple hours of your time together. And that yet you can get some meaningful contribution and kind of fulfilling that dream. So it's important with dreams that we don't get stuck only thinking the biggest, baddest, hardest to accomplish dreams. Look, when we accomplish those are deeply meaningful and satisfying, but little dreams are also important. So as we transition, this is one of Sarah Gale's favorite times. It is the appreciation time. Do you want to hit the people with your jingle?
Yes. Appreciation time. Appreciation time.
Wow.
Hey, that's copywritten. So don't try and go steal that for your own usage.
I don't think it is.
All right, I'll go first. Chad David, one thing that I appreciate about you is that you truly fill in where I leave off, in a sense, or where I miss out. I don't know if that makes sense. But what I'm trying to say is I will say something, and it's not just on these podcasts, it's in life, to the boys, to other people. And it's almost like I say one part of it, and then you come in and you fill in the other part. That kind of makes it a whole concept and makes it that much more powerful. And I love that about you. I appreciate that about you.
Thank you, babe. Mm-hmm. One thing I appreciate about you is your consistent encouragement and appreciation. I think you make more healthy deposits into my life and encourage and support me. And it matters. Words of affirmation is one of my love languages, and you do a phenomenal job filling that love tank for me. So thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. All right. So you guys listening, let's appreciate one another daily. Appreciation builds an atmosphere of love, of respect. It's crucial. So appreciate one another. And as we will end how we always do, because we recognize that everyone listening is in different places and spaces. And so when it comes to dreams, I want you to dream with your spouse, dream together. And if you're in a position where you're not able to dream with your spouse for some reason, maybe you guys are in a rough patch, reach out for help. Reach out. We are available to help. Others are available to help. You can reach us on our website at hoperelentless.com because we want to get you dreaming. We want to get you excited about this one life we get to live together. And I want you to remember, no matter if you're in a high place or a low place, there's always, always hope.